The city hums quietly at night. Streetlights flicker over cracked sidewalks. A lone apartment building stands almost hidden among newer constructions. Inside, a neighbor calls the police after noticing something odd. A young girl has been quiet for weeks, her laughter replaced by silence. Detective Harris steps into the dim hallway, flashlight in hand, heart pounding. Something about the stillness feels wrong. As the door creaks open, the scene inside tells a story no headline could prepare them for. A secret buried in the heart of a family, waiting to be discovered. Before we continue, hit like, subscribe, and share for such real stories. From the outside, the Johnson apartment looked like any other in Houston. Paint peeling, but warm lights in every window, the scent of dinner wafting through the door. Inside lived Lila, 11 years old, and her mother, Mara. Neighbors saw Lila playing in the yard on sunny afternoons, her small figure darting between swings and bicycles. To anyone else, she was ordinary, quiet, polite, unremarkable, but Detective Harris had learned that sometimes ordinary masks the unimaginable. A concerned teacher first noticed the change. Lila had stopped talking about school projects and friends. She no longer raised her hand, and she seemed to shrink into herself. Detective Harris reviewed reports from the neighborhood watch, anonymous tips, small concerns filed over months. Nothing screamed crisis, yet every detail hinted at a story nobody wanted to tell. Harris stood in the Johnson apartment. The walls were cluttered with family photos, smiles frozen in frames. Mara, Lila's mother, was barely holding back tears, her voice trembling as she explained that Lila had grown quieter, more withdrawn. The detective noticed the subtle signs: rooms left untouched, curtains drawn, and a small notebook where Lila had written words that didn't make sense to anyone else. A hidden language of fear. Over the next few days, Harris dug deeper. Interviews with neighbors revealed whispered observations. One elderly neighbor spoke cautiously. "I always thought something wasn't right. She never played like the other kids." Investigators compiled a timeline of unusual visits to the apartment. Suspicious patterns emerged. It became clear that the girl's silence was not a choice. It was a survival mechanism. Every investigator has a moment when the pieces fit together. For Harris, it came when reviewing Lila's school records. Lila had been absent frequently, citing vague illnesses. Coupled with the neighbors' accounts, a chilling pattern emerged, one that involved someone the girl should have trusted implicitly. The detective realized the investigation had to proceed carefully. Any wrong move could jeopardize both evidence and the fragile courage of the child. One night, Harris returned to the apartment with child protection officers. Lila, sensing that someone finally listened, whispered the truth. The details were fragmented, but enough to alert authorities to months of hidden abuse. Her mother, Mara, listened with disbelief and heartbreak. Questions arose that no parent wants to face. How long had this been happening? How could family members betray their own? Within days, the suspect was apprehended. The arrest was quiet but decisive. Neighbors watched in shock as the man, once considered part of the household, was led away in handcuffs. It was a reminder: evil often wears familiar faces. What seemed safe, the trust of family, the comfort of home, had been shattered, leaving scars invisible to the untrained eye. Lila was placed in protective care while counseling began. Mara faced the dual struggle of grief and guilt, wondering how she missed the signs, yet striving to be a pillar of strength. Detective Harris stayed close, documenting every detail, preparing the case for court. Every step of the process highlighted the resilience of a child forced to navigate trauma at a young age and the commitment required from those who seek justice. The trial revealed months of abuse, patterns hidden behind ordinary daily routines. Witnesses testified, evidence was presented, and the judge called it a betrayal of trust and family. While the legal process could never erase the trauma, it affirmed that silence could be broken, that truth, once revealed, demanded accountability. Years later, Lila remains anonymous in public reports, but her story lingers in every conversation about child safety. Mara continues to advocate for awareness. Detective Harris recalls the case not as a headline, but as a life lesson. Evil hides where we least expect, but vigilance, compassion, and courage can save lives. The silent cries are not always heard, but when someone listens, the story can finally be told, and justice can begin.